Market update. I am your host, Bill Noble. Why isn't the market higher? Could Solana be at 200 based on some of the news we've seen? Yes. The question is, why isn't it? Don't worry, we will answer that question. We will answer it. Macro news, geopolitics, there's a lot out there. All of it is going to be pro-crypto in the long term. The long term as in 2 or 3 months. What happens in the short term, it's going to be up to you being a wise person. Don't chase rallies, have capital set up for any type of decline. And most importantly, remember why you are in crypto. This show is brought to you by my Patreon, patreon.com/unhinged crypto. Today, we're going to be diving in on a podcast and about AI. The link is in the description. It's in the chat for the stream. And we have this stylish QR code here. I'm going to show you a headline about a Supreme Court decision about what you can and cannot say on social media. The idea of a group on a Patreon where you can say what needs to be said about geopolitics, about all the election things that are coming up. People, it's a service and idea that sells itself. We do our best on the public stream, but the nitty gritty is in Patreon. All right. Steve Mesa, Travis, welcome. Welcome to the show. Richard Barry is here. Welcome. Forget about it. Matthias, Abel, Raj, welcome to the show. PQ Investment. Solana is better than fiat and why that makes sense. All right. We have Abel here. Welcome. Also, if you got the notification for this stream, please let us know. Travis Spears, ETH memes to the moon. God, I would love that. Okay. Travis, the bottom is in. Bubba, good morning. Aiken is here with the notorious love. Welcome. Okay, Manuel, Bill, sideways through the summer to the moon, October, November, Rune and Cacao, cross-chain trading, cross-chain anything. I've been looking at PNG. These have been long-time themes, both on the market update and the Patreon group. Crypto Crazy from Twitter. Trisha is here from Twitter. Welcome. Bull Runner in the house. Welcome to the show. Hit the like button. Okay, let's go. News. There's a lot of it. There's a lot of it. Okay. The case for Patreon. In a 6-3 decision, the Supreme Court decided that governments are able to pressure tech platforms. This may not end well. Okay? Now, I don't think there's any illusions that, if any sovereign doesn't like what you're saying, you can wind up in some trouble. However, you would never want to get to the point, or you would never want to get to the point where you don't have an information hedge. Where can you get your information from? Well, you can get it from Twitter. But if you post something on Twitter and some other platform decides that they can see what you put on Twitter, you need a hedge for your information. Also, obviously, you need a hedge for crypto, right? Because misinformation can be anything. Crypto is freedom. Price cannot be censored. Freedom is price. Crypto is price. And that's the market update. Okay. Robert Kennedy on Julian Assange, right? So the guy that formed Wikileaks, if you don't know who this is like a undercover investigative reporting unit that dug up a lot of stuff. And they got in hot water with Uncle Sam. And this guy, Julian, did 5 years in solitary confinement or something like that. Something awful without due process. So they just cut him a deal, most likely because a certain ex-president's intelligence chief was after this guy pretty hard. So it has an edge to it headed into the debate. But, you know, this guy had a sign on a dotted line that he was guilty of being a reporter. Now, good for him. He had to get out. He had heart problems. He would have died in prison. However, make no mistake, you better make sure you can get your information from a reputable source on a platform that won't fold. Let's put it that way. And you got crypto. And you can keep crypto. That's the most important thing. You got to be able to stay in it. All right. So while we're talking about all the taboo subjects, let's get it all out of the way. I think the orange man is going to need a young guy. And I think the young guy probably makes his debut tomorrow. That's Vivek, right? Enthusiasm and a positive message. All right. Rand Paul, Biden's plea deal for Julian is not good. Okay. Basically, the land of the free could do much better, but the guy's out of jail. And something to consider for crypto in the long term. This guy, like Snowden, like Saylor, like a lot of people, eventually will be on the tape cheerleading Bitcoin, cheerleading sovereigns that embrace Bitcoin. In other words, this guy's pretty much already published what's gone wrong in the world. His videos are out there, and I'm sure he's going to go on talk shows and talk about it. But when he's done talking about the negative stuff, he's going to talk about the positive stuff. And believe it or not, Ben Armstrong had a really nice thumbnail for his stream yesterday where he put up Julian's picture and just had a simple caption of buy signal. Now, I would love that. I think there's some geopolitical concerns in the short term. We will talk about that. But this is one of the many people that going forward, like, how does Bitcoin get the news flow to go through 100? Well, I'm sure there'll be macro events, but there will be this guy, Snowden, and others. Okay. So Julian can't mess around with any of the documents he found previously. So he's got to keep as quiet as they can, at least in terms of the documented proof. Speaking of proof, Garrett Soloway, you know, probably one of the best traders out there in the space, is noting that big banks are holding trillions of derivatives with no contingency plan as to what to do with the risk. There's risk everywhere. There's risk everywhere. And Ray Dalio, don't have the headline here, but has also got his social disorder post out just in time for the debate. So you have things going on in the TradFi market. You have things going on culturally. I can't believe these things are bad for crypto. They're not. This show today is about reminding you why you are here, and most importantly, why you have to stay here by any means necessary. And that includes raising capital on rallies if you have to. I would so rather be wrong, right, about, I don't know, liquidating stuff that's just done and saving capital for a decline than I would be to be absolutely 100% fully invested and then turn around and get smoked. Okay. Now, just in case you're wondering that crypto is overvalued and, oh my God, Bitcoin is worth this and that. No, listen to me. Nvidia's stock has now added $300 billion in market cap in 24 hours. This is as of June 26th at 11 a.m. Eastern time. The stock is up 10% since its pre-market low yesterday morning. This puts the last 5 trading day swing in Nvidia's value at 1.1 trillion. In other words, Nvidia has moved double the entire market cap of JP Morgan in 5 days. So obviously, artificial intelligence is a generational investing theme. Obviously, Nvidia is a great way to express that trade. You know, retail wants to be involved. They've been ingrained to buy every dip, and they're doing just that. However, like I said, if Nvidia can move, not his worth, can move $1 trillion in market cap in a 5-day period, Bitcoin is really only worth over $1 trillion. Right? Crypto is this itty bitty little market compared to this huge behemoth market in TradFi. We're still early. We're still small, really, is the better way to say it. Are we early? I don't know. But are we small compared to TradFi? And what happens if some of that TradFi money has to come over here? I got a tweet in here about the intersection between AI and crypto. I've said all along, let me see if I can just go right there while we're on NVIDIA. Okay, so Red Phone Crypto. If you're not following Red Phone Crypto, do so. Basically, one of the top 5 thought leaders in the space, particularly in DeFi. He reminds you that crypto's next massive narrative stares us in the face, and it's AI and crypto combined. In other words, the best way to have AI is on a decentralized web, and I don't know how you're going to create any content using AI and not have proof of ownership via the blockchain. Red Phone documents it. If you look at the market today, AI is up massively because you had huge liquidation in some of the coins that are eventually going into the super token. Why is everyone giving up on crypto? And why is everybody only focused on NVIDIA as a way to do the AI trade? If everyone's doing the same thing, it's wrong. Okay, so taking a little risk here. It looks like we're going to have a debate in 2 parts. One of them will be on cable news for anybody who's got cable news. And then RFK will be online answering the same questions. The most important thing about RFK is that the pro-Bitcoin stance now being adopted by every politician under the sun started with him. Right? So even if he doesn't get elected, he has affected policy. And if the big man winds up the pro-crypto president, well, that's great. But this guy drove policy, and he may drive policy even more pro-crypto tonight. Now, one risk with the debate is that geopolitical actors that are out there, if they were going to do something or pull something, they would do it right before or right after the debates. Something to keep in mind. I think that's really the only thing that's holding crypto down right now. Okay, Vivek will be at the debate. People are saying, he's got the next chance to be, to be the vice presidential nominee. Okay, the yen one-sided tumble to its 1986 low. Why do we care about this? Large Japanese institutions are moving capital out of Japan despite the Bank of Japan's effort to boost the yen using higher interest rates. Essentially, Japan has a debt problem and a population problem that can be catastrophic. So the Bank of Japan is allowing the yen to fall and the dollar to rise. Now, briefly, obviously, right, when the dollar goes higher, that's not good for crypto. So if you're like, yo, man, where's my rally? That's one answer, right? The dollar just continues to go up. Dollar yen is at 165. We'll show the chart in the PowerPoint. Don't go anywhere. It's been a big theme in Patreon. When the dollar goes up, crypto goes down. And if dollar yen breaks out, we'll see the chart. You could have substantially higher prices for the dollar. There are also reasons to sell the euro, to have European currencies go down, right? England's election is about to take, England is about to go to the left. France and continental Europe are about to go to the right, both seemingly on the extremes. Unfortunately, based on this, there is a case for the dollar. There's a huge case against the dollar, but you're watching a crypto show. You already know that. What happens if the dollar continues to go higher? You need to be aware of this because, again, there's a reason why crypto has done nothing but go down since consensus, and this is one of the reasons. Interest rates. Let's talk about it. The bond market thinks the Fed is going to cut rates, 6 or 7 times by March. Okay. The Fed is saying we're not doing anything. Some people think Fed funds are going to go as low as 2%, currently at 5% and change. I would imagine that's Ray Dalio, right? In other words, somebody is betting on an event in the bond market that causes interest rates to fall. Now, that brings me to a theme in crypto. I'm probably going to actually try to get a large inflatable Weeble, but the theme in crypto is Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. Weebles are a toy from my generation, right? They wobble. They're sort of oval shaped, but they don't fall over. That's what's going to happen with crypto because, again, the reason for all these problems in TradFi will eventually lead to crypto. Okay. So, New York Post says there's a $160 million war chest. Okay. If the current administration loses, it's because they spent the last 4 years being pro-crypto, and then people started writing checks to push back, to absolutely push back. Meme coins were the top performing sector in crypto in 2024 to date, followed by RWA, AI, and DPIN. Okay, now AI has done well. Meme coins are up 1,000%. AI is up 71%. Okay, gaming is up 20%. This thing with AI, when I saw this thing from Red Phone Crypto, I was like, oh no. And then all of these big tokens that had experienced liquidation were up massively. Not an accident. Okay, spot Bitcoin ETF reverses 7-day outflow. So a few things about the Bitcoin ETF. One, stock market investors never met a dip that they didn't like. They are programmed to buy the dip. They buy the dip in Nvidia. They buy the dip in Bitcoin. Okay. Now, if there's risk, if there's something awful that happens, supposedly on the day where Bitcoin went through 60K, there was a rumor about a military encounter between the US and a major Eastern European power. That turned out to not be true, hence the relief rally. That's according to one source that I have. Geopolitics is the only thing that can cause people, I think, to sort of like panic about Bitcoin. But as one Patreon user said, isn't this why we Bitcoin to begin with, in case of these international social disorder or international world order problems? The answer is yes. But there's this Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down thing, right? The Weeble can still wobble. And if there's a reason or a liquidation event inside risk assets, that can hurt Bitcoin. Now, hopefully the definition of hurting Bitcoin is that Bitcoin just doesn't rally like it should, right? Or Solana doesn't rally like it should, because, there is Solana news flow that's incredible about the payment systems that they've put in place, right? In other words, Solana adds blinks and actions so users can trade crypto on social media. Can you imagine being able to send a super chat in Solana? It's unbelievable. I mean, if this had come out in January, Solana would be at 400, right? Instead, we get a bounce. People buy the dip at 120 and it goes to 140. And it's okay. It's not like, oh, it's terrible, but it's not like, oh man, where's the punch? Well, the punch is because of all this hesitation. But the moral of the story is one day the punch will go away. ETH spot ETF to attract 15 billion in net inflows in the first 18 months, according to a research forecaster. I got news for you. Why don't you put a 0 on the end of that? Okay. In other words, there may be something that develops in TradFi, like, again, go back to the bond market. Why are these bets being made again? Who's making a huge bet on 2% Fed funds? That sounds like something a very big player would do. They released this ETH ETF into a disturbance in TradFi in September. You are going to see everybody and their little brother buying it. Speaking of little brother, Michael Dell, right? Maybe little brother to Michael Saylor, wants to get Dell Computer involved in Bitcoin. This won't be the first or last CEO to do so. Look at this. Warren Buffett owned Brazilian bank to implement the Lightning Network. Wait a minute. Did Warren Buffett just buy Bitcoin? Buy Bitcoin? Huh. What do you know? I mean, he can't come out and say I'm buying Bitcoin, but he can get his banks on the Lightning Network. Our founding fathers would have been Bitcoiners, says an Ohio Senate candidate. Right? The Americans, no taxation without representation. Don't tax my tea. Don't tax my stamps. Don't tread on me. Transactional freedom. If they could ever have imagined the internet, they would have put it in the Constitution. Okay. Julian, which we mentioned earlier, had to take a $500,000 private airplane trip financed by the Australian government, and one person sent $500,000 in Bitcoin to his address to cover the bill. How strong is that? Like, that's one you got to print and tack up on your wall so that if there's ever a dark day in crypto or a boring day in crypto, last summer was boring, this is what you remember. This is what you remember, right? This guy, I mean, as if he wouldn't have been already, but this guy will cheer Bitcoin every chance he gets. Wait until he gets back on Twitter. Oh my goodness. This is why we Bitcoin. Because a middleman fintech player, which has connected consumer apps to FDIC insured bank account, accidentally misplaced $109 million of customer funds before declaring bankruptcy. Unironically, Bitcoin DeFi stablecoins proof of reserves fixes this. Everybody thinks that all the nefarious activities happen in crypto. That is not true. That is not true. The financial world now believes Bitcoin is a fast emerging asset class. Well, asset classes are valued in units of tens of trillions. I love Willie. Willie's always got like a cool math thing every day, no matter how far he's got to stretch it. So price in Bitcoin can 10x. It can rival the US dollar. It can become a reserve asset. And even if it doesn't, having that Bitcoin could wind up saving you psychologically, financially, save your investment portfolio, right? In other words, we're still small. We're small. We're this little inky dinky market. Everyone's like, oh my God, it's Bitcoin. No, it's not, man. There's 5 stocks worth 5 times as much as crypto. It's insane. We are so small. Meanwhile, speaking of needing Bitcoin, somehow we need to make this more affordable. We can't count on Elon alone to keep producing children. Okay. In Boston, Massachusetts, the total cost of having a child for a year or having a child is $38,000. I got an idea. Crypto is pro-humanity. Let's get crypto in the hands of these people so they can live their life, so they can have the American dream, right? Everyone's like, oh, the American dream, it's dead. No, it's not. The American dream is on Coinbase. You just have to go find it. You just have to be brave enough. You have to hang in and know that weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. Okay, Gensler. Hey, remember when they were going to put crypto out of business? Yeah, that's not happening. Gensler, not saying when they're going to approve the ETH ETF, but everything is going smoothly. Yes, so is your exit. So is your exit. Gensler losing court cases about hedge fund fees. My goodness, this is what the SEC is supposed to do. Make sure there's a level playing field. Fees are okay. Investing is done, I don't know, with some level of integrity. They can't win a court case. They can't win a court case. They're so done. Okay. Ripple CEO says Gensler could cost the current administration the election. Yeah. I mean, people who are interested in crypto will vote. Not only will they vote, they'll stand in line to vote. They will. So, as I had an American history professor who used to say, we studied the history of American cities, and in some cases, in some cities, in some eras, he used to say the dead not only voted, they voted twice. Well, guess what? People in crypto, they will all vote. And by the way, if you're in crypto and you're listening to this, I hope you're going to vote for whoever you think is in your interest. Okay, on the please make it stop front, Metallica's Twitter account is hacked to promote a Solana meme coin. Please with the excess. Oh my God, this market. Duilo from Madrid checking in. Okay, so Bitcoin bounces above 62. Solana leads crypto higher. People are going to start figuring out real soon, I think, that Solana and Ethereum will be the reason why Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. I can't come up with a reason to sell those cryptos. I can come up with support and resistance points, but I can't come up with a reason where I would say, oh, yeah, get rid of this stuff. If anything, anytime they hit it, it's like you want to try to hoover it up. Not investment advice. Okay. Let's see who's here. Okay. Trisha said, I heard Michael Dell bought $1 billion on Gemini yesterday. Matthias is like, what do you think of a summer break? Well, you know what? I'm forced to say it. It's probably that kind of a summer, right? You're probably headed, there's all these potential things. There's the wall of worry, but then some of these things are going to materialize, whether it's geopolitics, TradFi, election. I mean, there's just too many things that can go wrong for risk assets. Oh, don't forget the debt problem, social disorder, blah, blah, blah. It'll happen this summer. And then I swear by the time it's all out, all known, all traded, we all go, wait, why are we all selling? Or why aren't we buying? Last summer was like, why are we sitting around? Why are we selling? Why are we giving up? This time around, it might be, gee, I didn't buy enough. Like, how about those Bitcoin miners, right? Patreon group, market update. Some of those hedge funds getting squeezed in Riot blockchain. If I may say so myself, no lampshade. Okay. Yeah, you may have quiet crypto trading, but there will be plays. There are signs that when this is over, it's going to go. And that's what you have to focus on. That's what we got to focus on every single day. Steve Mesa is like, yeah, the dollar is scary strong. Super Matt is here, hits the like button. We appreciate that. Okay. Trisha says, I hear we are like the internet in 1999. I would say 1997. But yes, we're like the internet. We're ridiculously early, especially the AI crypto trade, real world assets. I mean, how many tokens are really involved in that? Like what, 4 or 5 where people are really pumped up? It's so early. It's ridiculous. I mean, the internet was like AOL, Cisco, Dell, and Microsoft. That's how it started out. Very humble, like hardware, internet, software. That's it. And the whole thing came up from there, right? The desire, the froth, when they revalued all that stuff was incredible. I mean, yes, it eventually got excessive, but they had the right idea. And the most important thing to remember about the internet, if you want to do some boomer analysis, right? The boomer analysis is internet went way up and way down and nobody would touch it. And everybody got out and everybody got bearish. And this went on for like years. In crypto, we don't do years. We do 3 months, right? Everyone got bearish. Everyone got out. Everyone got discouraged. And then when this thing finally took off, it went up for 25 years, save one interruption in 08, right? And if it wasn't for that, it just would have been up only, okay? Okay, Steve talking about sometimes traders can make bad calls. Yes, I have had my share. Patriot Caveman, Super Matt from the UK. Trisha Elliott is saying, is now a good time to DCA into BTC? Okay, great question. So how do you set up your DCA? And again, I know that I have to work on this and help you, but this is my game. I'm going to assume that the game from here to September is to try to locate or estimate the monthly low for July, August, and September. So assume there's a mid-July, mid-August, and maybe mid-September or late September heave, Weebles wobble, right? 3 wobbles, 3 lows. You set your DCA targets at what you estimate those lows to be. I may wind up using quarterly charts to calculate it, and I want to calculate these levels across a wide range. I suspect the Gann wheel that you can see over my shoulder may be one of the tools to try to find these levels. One coin, for every coin, you want to have 3 levels. And you want to have enough capital to be able to put money in all 3 points. I don't care if it's $100. I don't care if it's $10 if you can get a low commission trade, right? You want to make sure that psychologically, if there are dips, if the Weeble wobbles, you're there. So Steph is here. Welcome. Welcome to the show. Steve's like DCA next 8 weeks. Crypto crazy. Good to see you too, sir. Paul is here. Manuel, welcome. Okay. PowerPoint. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Okay, here it is. Now, oops, don't want to read this one. Don't want to show this one. Let's read it. Okay, a pension fund executive from Canada has just said, one thing we look at around the world in TradFi, there's no asset classes that are safe. There's no safe place to go. You used to be able to go sit in government bonds. You can't do that anymore. Think about it. There's no safe place to go. There's nowhere to park money in TradFi. Nowhere where it's safe. Okay. Nvidia is in a mega trend. That doesn't make it safe from a shift in valuations or a geopolitical shock. It used to be you would take risk in stocks, bonds, stocks, real estate, corporate bonds, whatever. And then you would park money in treasuries as your, risk-free asset. Yeah, not anymore. Then we have another hedge fund manager saying, at this point in the cycle, he understands that equities is a super trend higher because the dollar in stocks is better than a dollar in the bank. That said, people in stocks are over leveraged. They're borrowing money to pile into stocks. And those people, whether they know it or not, are not getting paid in terms of risk premium or in terms of capital appreciation from here on out to justify the highest level of geopolitical risk that we have seen in some time. In other words, there are risks out there that we're ignoring. Don't ignore the risks. Don't think it can't go down. It can, but you want to get set up so that you don't care. So like, oh, the Weeble wobbled. Okay, I'm in. Weeble wobbled. I'm in. Weeble wobbled. I'm in. That's your trading plan for the next 3 months. I know. Not entirely sophisticated, but not entirely wrong either. Not entirely wrong either. Okay, dollar yen, just so we understand. This is the dollar versus the yen, or just say it's the dollar. Okay, this is 1987. I was in high school. The yen, the dollar yen relationship is now back to where it was in 1987. This is a gigantic base. The bigger the base, the higher into space. The market went down a certain way back in the 80s, and theoretically, it can go up the same way. Now, the Bank of Japan could intervene and try to slow this down, but what they may wind up doing, and I suspect this is going to be the case, is that central banks frequently don't just intervene to intervene. They want to intervene when the market is stretched out. They want to intervene when they don't think they're going to intervene. So that means you could have a break of 160. That means you can make the dollar higher. I don't know what that means for crypto, but it doesn't feel good. It doesn't. Feels like the dollar wants to just go up. It just sits there. We'll probably try to do live TA on DXY. A1 says, what happens when the bottom falls out before the election time frame, regardless of who win? It's the plan. Okay, too many derivatives, dollar weakness. Yeah, there is a lot of risks. However, the October surprise, in other words, if you look at the history of elections, there's always an October surprise, a last minute scandal, a shift in a candidate, a change in the polls. Yeah, the October surprise could be the rise of crypto because something unfolds. Okay, Pancakes and Peanut Butter says, hello world, crypto is freedom. Solana. Okay, so Solana, the good news is everyone wants it down at 120, which is where they wanted it at the end of April. It's got to get above 140. I would love to see people paying higher prices in Solana. Come on, Solana, right? We got the yen weighing us down and Solana trying to push through. I mean, do you realize that some of this news flow in Solana, that Solana has probably done more for adoption with the announcements in the last 2 months than Bitcoin and Ethereum have done in the last 2 years? Bitcoin's, we got runes and we got, ordinals and we got stuff that only crypto heads are going to play with. Where Solana's like, hey, yeah, we got Apple Pay. Oh, yeah, you want to tip somebody and have a payment network on Twitter? Yeah, how about you use Solana? That's doable. Okay, so you get the idea. But I want to see people coming in and be willing to pay higher prices with some gusto. I don't want to just see rallies because, there was a panic liquidation in, say, AI coins. Yeah, they're up 10%. Yeah, that's a long-term trade for sure. But give me something other than these, these bear market, boring, not just boring, but it doesn't have life to it. Give me some life. Give it to me, right? Ethereum. Okay, great. Selling at 3,200 was idiotic. Did you have to watch a 1-hour crypto show to know that? But the thing is, we can't get a rally. Somebody please give me a rally. I want to see this thing break out above 3,400. I mean, in some ways, I'm such a boomer. I didn't really see the reason to sell ETH at 3,700. So, of course, I'm not really buying into selling ETH here, but it's got to break resistance, folks. We're going to go through LuxAlgo in a minute. Okay, down below, we've got a LuxAlgo affiliate link. You're going to find out why I've got that link. This thing's changing how I can do live TA. Bitcoin is at DeMark point at 61. It's got to hold. I don't think anyone has to freak out, but there could be 5 more down days according to the DeMark charts. Now, levered Solana, WIF and the meme coins are the levered versions of the platforms that they're on. So WIF is levered Solana. $2 and change is resistance in WIF. I'm glad it bounced. Let's hope it stays that way. You get a major rejection in some of these bigger meme coins, the market's going to rotate lower. The best thing that can happen is that you could have a sustained bid in these levered versions of meme coin, levered versions of Solana and ETH. Okay, again, here's Solana on LuxAlgo. This is also LuxAlgo. These pink lines, it's only 2 indicators, right? This one basically turns high volume areas like this one. And when the market is either above it or below it, it'll turn it into support or resistance. So if we break down and come back, this shows as resistance. If it holds, it's support. It's kind of nifty. It color codes the whole thing. So, I have my DeMark work and I have that, but this is pretty simple to show you, right? Solana's got to get above the pink resistance at 144 to be good. And there's been a huge amount of capitulation in Solana, okay? But we want to see that go green. We don't want to just see a bounce off capitulation. Now, it's not going to resolve itself in one day, but we've seen the puking. Now we want to see the bid coming in. ETH is the same thing, right? It's the same thing. 3,400, okay? 3,400 is the key level. Whoops. Right. 3,400 is the key level. We got to get above that in ETH. And you know what, folks? I'm not the only one seeing this on LuxAlgo, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 4-hour candles hitting 3,420. A lot of people are using this. They just introduced it to me. And because I can mix this with DeMark, or I can recognize what some of these signals mean. Like, for example, this is a long signal right here in ETH where it kind of gets involved as things turn. I've used quantitative momentum systems before. This thing's pretty quick to make a move. Okay, let's talk about AI coins. We're going to be featuring this like nobody's business in Patreon. Link down below. Okay, Palm. Went to a happy hour with these guys at Consensus. Distance to resistance. Massive liquidation. Look at this. See this red histogram down here where it's like bright red and dark red? This bright red, that's all total capitulation. Total capitulation in AI. Right? I mean, if there's anything that you can do in this Weebles Wobble period, could be the AI coins. Patreon, we just came out with a gaming report that also involves GameStop's stock, which may not be done yet. You may want to check that out because if gaming wakes up, I mean, theoretically speaking, if you have a sideways 3 months, somewhere in there, you can have sectors pop off. AI, gaming, RWA, all at the same time. I don't know. But if you're doing DCA, it may be DCA in particular altcoins. And naturally, in Patreon, we're always trying to give you 3 or 4 charts a night along with the podcast so you can see. PUM, LuxAlgo doing a buy signal today after everyone liquidates with resistance kind of far away overhead. I mean, 44 cents. The top of the resistance band is at 65 cents. You know, Fetch.AI, again, this is sort of a LuxAlgo tutorial. You know, these coins that were going into, merging into this super token. Look at this red ink here. I mean, this is just like literally everybody exiting, which is why you've got these things up 10, 15% today, because you've had just massive capitulation in the whole space. Same thing with AGIX. It's unbelievable. Now, I know these things are all going in with super token, and I get it. But if they've capitulated in the big AI tokens, they've capitulated in the small ones. And if Red Phone Crypto is telling you that AI and crypto together will be a big theme, then believe them. Because for 2 cycles now, this guy has been talking about Rune, cross-chain, and how DeFi can become like way bigger than anybody thinks. Like way bigger. And everyone's like, oh, okay, Red Phone, that's nice. Yeah, until BlackRock comes in with with RWA, with Ondo, Ohm, Dusk. Okay, True Finance I'm looking at the other day. Wait until this stuff starts happening. Maybe even Arkham to track what goes back and forth on the blockchains. Okay, and that is the market update. Okay, let's see what we got here. Okay. All right, so yes, A1, I will be using the charts to talk about laddering out when the time comes. I definitely need to get better at the laddering out process. My guess is you got to make your money by March or May of next year. In other words, this is going to be another October to May wild fest. Okay, so Bull Runner is looking for Orange Man coin. Let's take a shot. I mean, we got a debate coming up, so I guess if we can't do it today, when are we going to do it? When are we going to do it? And even if we can't do it, we're doing it for an OG like Bull Runner. Okay, so let's go. All right, this is the daily chart, right, of Orange Man coin. Now, as you just saw on the 20-hour, there was resistance. I am noticing that the LuxAlgo system wanted to take profits on a short right around $8. Okay. I think there's a huge amount of support at 6. I realize that's very far away in percentage terms, but as a friend of mine who is very smart said, when the debate is over, there won't be any more debate about who is going to prevail here. And I know that the Orange Man is going to take it on the chin from about various things. You know, Kennedy's got quite the dossier on him. Bowden is not going to go down without a fight. I understand that. But you also have to understand that with the level of adversity that this guy has been through, okay, think the algo's probably seen it already, but we'll get that off of there. With the level of adversity this guy has been through and a sentencing coming up in July, you have to really start to ask yourself if there's a wild range between 8 and 6 and that holds, whether or not this is not a very volatile consolidation for a move to much higher prices, even if that move occurs after the election. Like if this coin somehow becomes a collectible or becomes money, I'm just sort of like, a lot of people think that, oh yeah, this is going much higher. Yeah, but they don't really tell you why, right? Because it would be a collector's item. It would become money in a way. I mean, if we can have Solana meme coins that don't mean anything, this might actually be a meme coin that means something. And then again, you don't have to like them. You don't have to like any of it. But this is a big support zone near 6th. Okay. Right. Trisha says 4 against 1 in debates, including the moderator. Okay. So yeah, the debate will probably also highlight the risk for social disorder. Again, Dalio is out with his whole, with his like doom and gloom, which to be honest with you, even though I can do doom and gloom, I'm tired of it. Right. He's just talking about like, he's talking about intense civil unrest, accelerating or coming soon. Okay. Bull Runner reminding you to hit the like button. Reminding you to hit the like button. Okay. Looking for any live TA requests that came in. Somebody came in with OSAK. So let's take a look at OSAK. And I want to make sure we get over to the Bitcoin miners. Okay. Okay. So Osaka Protocol, it's got resistance above like just about everything else on crypto on a daily chart. If we look at a 4-hour chart, okay, I'm just not getting anything really except a sell the uptick signal, which again, regrettably seems to be everywhere in crypto, right? Like again, going back to when on a 4-hour chart, right? These rallies, they're getting sold at resistance. Hate it. Absolutely hate it, right? It's the same thing with Bitcoin, right? If we look at, say, a 20, I don't know if it's the 20-hour chart or the daily chart. Well, it's neither. Okay. 61,900 is a key pivot for Bitcoin on the daily chart. Okay. And the support below the market is 5,700. I'm sorry, 57,000. That's the live TA on Bitcoin. In other words, if you can't see Bitcoin punch, this is what I told Forbes. If you can't see Bitcoin, give me a definitive punch. I mean, Bitcoin distance to resistance, Bitcoin should be up here at 67K. We should be going up there and be like, okay, let's test it. Give me some Bitcoin. Is that possible? Yes. Is that happening right now? No, because I think people are afraid of the debate. They're afraid of a Middle East event, and they're afraid of tensions between us and a large European nation, Eastern European nation. Like that stuff that's going on is not funny. And, people in the market know that, which is why we don't have the punch that you would think we do, especially given like the Solana news. I mean, but let's go to the dollar index. You know what I'm saying? Like if we're going to talk about it, let's go to the dollar index. So, the dollar index is up, right? And the thing that bothers me about it is you see all this yellow, like you're used to looking at the pink. That's resistance. Okay, the dollar index is breaking out, and LuxAlgo, again, affiliate link down below. God, it's putting support underneath the market. It's like, I just can't even look at this. I mean, LuxAlgo bought the dollar around 104 and is talking about a high at 108. That's like a stretch upside target. And even I think 106.6 would not be good. Would absolutely not be good. Now, speaking of good, look at the hedge funds get squeezed out. I'm putting a lampshade on my head, which probably means you should sell. But at consensus, everybody was talking about Bitcoin miners getting into AI for proper energy distribution. These are the ultimate source of Bitcoin, and they could become energy companies. Hedge funds get short, and hedge funds get smoked. My heart goes out to you. Not. Now, is that trade going to last forever? I don't know, but it'd be pretty funny if it did. It'd be pretty funny if it did. It'd be pretty funny if crypto went into Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down, and the Bitcoin miners just smoke to the upside. Now, I don't know. How realistic is that? Not really, if you can have a down trade in crypto, right? There's a lot of talk that you got to go to 48 before you can go to 120. Those are numbers I came up with. But man, would I love to see people get blown out of this trade in a sideways market. It's not happening right this second, except in HUT. But all of this red ink in crypto, frankly, shouldn't be there. It shouldn't. Not seeing anything nightmarish going on in equities. And again, the thing that is funny is like LuxAlgo sold Galaxy Digital, and Galaxy Digital came straight back. Sometimes with indicators, it's interesting, right, to know that when they're wrong. Now, I don't know that they're wrong yet, but the short is being stopped out as Galaxy Digital has a bid. Crypto equities have a bid. So if crypto is dangerous, crypto equities may pick up because crypto equities never went up to begin with. Hence the high in Galaxy Digital. I mean, the chart is almost too busy to look at. If you go to like a 1 week chart, I mean, Galaxy on a weekly chart, like, does this look overbought to you? So we're saying that there's going to be no need for a crypto investment bank. Is that what we're saying? I mean, yes, this is probably going to be overbought soon if it isn't already. Galaxy is basically saying this week is a top. All right. So I don't want to be stupid, but this is not a bull market yet. Not even close. Not even close. Okay. Trisha, Phantom, let's do it. By the way, just as a reminder, if you got a notification for this stream on YouTube, please let us know. Okay, now the good news in Phantom, we happen to be on a weekly chart, is there's a lot of support between 54 and 44 cents. I realize that's a pretty big range, but that's where the support is in Phantom. So if Phantom wobbles, but it doesn't fall down, I think the bottom of this is 41 cents. So on a weekly chart, this is where the support is. And I'm sure if you go to, say, a 20-hour chart, you're going to see Phantom at resistance, right? All of crypto is dealing with the fact that sitting over our heads is resistance. And we got to do something to overcome it because, again, I'm not the only person looking at this. I may be the only person looking at a 20-hour chart, which, by the way, is like a one-day chart minus the 4 hours of dull trading, between, the early Asia open and, kind of when the Tokyo stock market opens. There's just nobody willing to pay higher prices. I mean, this was a wall of resistance. So there's a wall of tactical resistance and a wall of tactical support below the market in Phantom. And frankly, this is very typical across all big cryptos. Okay. Bruno says Bitcoin's got to get down to 50 in order to fill gaps and wash people out. Yeah, you got to watch out for the geopolitical event, man. Okay, Brad's got a coin on base that I'll probably try to take a look at for another stream to figure out whether or not I can say it. I was looking at Brett doing well. So there are memes on base that are hanging in there. But you know what, folks? Again, go back to that one slide where you had memes up 1,800% and you had AI up 70. There is going to be an epic opportunity. But the thing about epic opportunities is you have to be there. You have to be there. You have to be intact for it to happen. So be intact. Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. 3 lows, the July low, the August low, the September low. You and me are going to be there for all 3 so that in October, we're ready. We'll see you next time.